What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we have a 2023 Ford F350 and she's got about 6 miles on her, and part of the window sticker was to install the Tremor winch on the front of this truck. This is something I've done before on the 2021s and 22s, but this is the first 23. A few things have changed, but for the most part, everything is going to be the same. I want you to follow along with us tonight and check out this worn winch on this new 23. Alright guys, thanks so much for coming back and checking us out. We have the opportunity to work on this brand new 23 F350. I am thinking about actually getting the ThinkWare camera system. This was a Ford accessory that I didn't even know existed for dash cams for our trucks. And I like it enough where I think I'm gonna buy it. I'm not at that point yet, and if you guys want to see a video, drop down to the comment section and let me know if you'd like to see that. So today we are going to be starting on this worn winch. This is an accessory for your Ford Super Duty. This is the new part number for 2023. If anybody is asking if this is going to work for your 17, 18, or 19, it is not going to work, although it may fit. The trans cooler is directly behind the winch, and that is not going to be congruent on your model because the 10 speeds are now underneath the transmission. So 17, 18, 19, you're not going to be able to use this kit. But if you have a 2021 or 22 and now a 23 PC3Z, this is going to be the kit for you. All right, I have everything laid out on the bench. We have all the big heavy-duty brackets, all of the hardware. This is the controller box that is going to mount behind the bumper and is going to allow you to actually, where is it? Oh wow, I just noticed that this one did not come with the remote. If you guys go to the description and check out the video I did doing the 22, that kit actually had a dongle that you could plug into here and to use your wireless remote so that you're not plugging the cord into your fair lead, and that is how you would activate your winch. Now, for the most part, this kit is going to be mounting up to the truck the same, bracketry is going to be the same. However, a few things that I did notice were that they now have fasteners, retaining devices in here, and this used to be open on the other ones where I had to slide in a little boss. I don't have to do that here. I also noticed that they give you 2 screws to change out on the bumper because we have 2 bolts going through this way, and if the synthetic rope is coming through the bumper with the bolts sticking up like this, well, we don't want this to happen, so they give us new bolts to put them in like this. That way the cable or the rope is not going to chafe on a studded fastener. So off the rip, these are the couple of things that I noticed that are different. What I'm going to do now is I have the truck floating in the air, and some of the first things we're going to need to do is remove this pretty bumper. But I have already gone ahead and printed the color directions off of Ford Performance. This was really nice instructions, and they did look a bit different compared to the previous models that I have done. So if you guys didn't notice, it was in the other page of the instructions, but if you have a P558, which is 20, 21, or 22, the 23's code name internal is a P708. So we're going to have to pay attention between the different steps, and if you have the previous model or the newer model, there's going to be a couple of different things we're going to do in the instructions. But we're going to go through all of the instructions, all color, and we're going to put this on together. I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of talking. It's going to be more conducive for me to just put the GoPro up, and I'll just do a time lapse of me installing the winch, and if I need to come into the scene and tell you something that's important, I'm going to do so. But for the most part, we're just going to be watching me install. I'm going to put some music behind it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think as we go along in the video, and if you guys have any questions or comments, I will see you in the comments. See you in a little bit. All right, one of the first things we're going to start to do is we need to remove the air filter assembly to gain access to where we're going to run all these wires. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. We need to save that. And then this is going to pull up out of the air filter area. And then directly down underneath here is a 7mm wood type screw right there. We need to take that 7mm out. And then the snorkel is also held on by 7mm here, 7mm here, and there is a trim tool that we're going to have to use to remove this trim clip right here. Like that. And the mass airflow sensor's got a little slide tab right here, and then we'll be able to get this up out of the way. So 7mm. All right, I just took the air filter out, and I'll put a link in the description of that, showing you how to take that out. This is the lower box, and you really have to pull up on it to get it out of its little rubber bosses that it sits in. The air filter housing snorkel here was 7mm, trying to get the snorkel off. And now this is the area where we're going to need room to run the wires up from underneath the fan and attach to this AGM battery. So let's get the bumper removed. That's going to be our next step on this 23 Super Duty. All right, we're gonna need to come down here underneath the truck, and we need to come to this connector right here. This is the bumper harness connector, and it's gonna be everything for the cruise control. It's gonna be for the lane, for the distance, front distance park sensors, whatever you wanna call them. But you don't have to disconnect any of these connectors. It's just that one bolt connector that you just saw us disconnect right there. All right, we need to take off these 8 millis, and this whole piece has to come off. We got 4 harness connections right here that are just kind of little grippers, and we have 2 over here on the side. All right, in the instructions, it doesn't say anything about removing these clips, but these are not being reused and I don't want to hear a rattle. So we're going to take all of these clips out. And I'm just lifting up on this little edge right here, and I'm able to slide it out of its hole, out of its piece of metal. That one just came right off. And we got 2 over here. This is part of the instructions I was telling you. It is deciphering between the 558 or the 708. If you guys remember on the previous models, we only had to save the top one. Now that on the new 23s, we actually have to take all 3 of the cruise control module studs. And we're gonna jump ahead and actually remove the bracket from the bumper and take the studs off of the bracket off the truck. So we're gonna take these 8 millis out. Not going back on either. Okay, we need all of these studs right here. All right, we're going to be using an inverted Torx. This is a E6. And we're going to take all of these studly do-rights off, and they got Loctite on them. You're not going to use pair pliers. You need to have the right tool on here. Okay, these are going to be reused, so don't discard these. All right, that is pretty much it for the bumper. They're actually saying that middle piece that you saw me take out, this piece right here, they want us to discard this. I mean, like, throw it away. Why would you do that? It's gonna look funny. Well, I'm gonna show you my way on how I'm gonna reuse that. So we're not gonna throw that away, but our next step is actually now gonna bring us over to the truck, and we're gonna start dismantling some of these fasteners here on the side. I want you to pay close attention because we have some new brackets going on the front of this truck. All right, here we are in this part of the instructions. We're gonna be going for these 2 fasteners right here. We're gonna be taking them out. It wants us to remove and discard the 4 inboard retainers on both sides. We got 2 here and 2 here. We're gonna take those out and we're getting rid of them. All right, next step, we're actually going to be getting the new parts. We're going to be going for these 2 pieces right here, this one and this one. We're going to be making a Y with it. These holes are going to be mounting up together, I'll show you. And then we are going to be going for 2 fasteners. We're going to be going, there's only 2 of these bolts that we're going to be using. Can you guys tell which ones we're going to be reusing these? And we're going to have 4 washers, 2 bolts, and 2 of the corresponding nuts. Now I'm going to show you how to mock this up onto the truck, and it's going to look something like this. We're going to hold these 2 pieces together just like this. Gonna make this kind of Y looking thing. We're gonna take a bolt and we're gonna take a washer. We're gonna put that washer on that bolt. We're gonna put that bolt through this, just like that. We're gonna get another washer, and look at that, it just went right on. We got one too many washers on here, so we need to take one off. We're gonna do the same thing. Okay, we're gonna go right here. So this piece of metal sits like that, and we're gonna take our other washer and nut, and we're gonna put that on like this. All right, once that is on, you're just gonna leave those bolts finger tight. The bolt head obviously went through that bracket. We don't wanna have the bolt coming through this way. So you're gonna leave this flopping around, and then we're gonna come over and grab this piece right here. This is getting structural and it's getting heavy. This is gonna be going right here on these brackets. All right, the instructions say to grab the piece that goes behind or in just front of that Y bracket, but I don't like putting this on first. I want to put these side brackets on first so that this has something to hang on. Right now it's just going to be floating with these two carriage bolts, but I want a little more support. So we're going to grab these two brackets over here that are going to go on the frame, and we're going to follow the outline of the frame here. I'll show you. We're going to want to mount this like, maybe it's a side, like this. See how that went on? And it's following this right here. That is real important. And if your truck has these, you are to not remove them. You're just taking out these two, and this is actually going to mount right to the outside of the compatibility bracket. So it's going to sit in here kind of just like this. Now we got some big fasteners. I'll bring those over and you'll see me attach this to the frame. All right, now we're going to bring in this big structural piece, and look at what I was telling you. Now this thing's got something to sit on, and you're not fumbling around with holding it up and doing all this unnecessariness. We need to set this up here like this, and we're going to put in our carriage bolts from the front going back, and we have a washer and nut for both of those. Okay, once you get that one side on, it's going to hang here. Let's put the other side up. It's going right to that Y bracket. Now we have this sitting here just like this. All right, now that we've gotten this bracket on, we can kind of see the areas where we took those bolts out over here. We have two brackets that came in the kit, and they look like this. What you're gonna do is find out which side is yours, and you're gonna put the corresponding side, but you're gonna use the frame to align your piece. So this is the right side, and then we're gonna have the driver's side. In the kit, there's a whole bunch of those big bolts. We're gonna put a washer and a bolt through the inside of the frame, and then we're gonna take another washer and one of those big nuts that was sitting next to those bolts, and we're gonna fasten this just like that. We're gonna leave everything loose because we're gonna have to adjust everything. All right, this is getting that much closer. Check it out. I like how all these pieces of metal have come together. So now this is behind those brackets. We have 2 more of these big bolts and washers and nuts going through here and right here. This is gonna align us all in the middle of everything. So let's get some more fasteners. Probably gonna call me out. I just realized that I didn't put these fasteners correct. They have to go from the inside out to the inside of the frame. So they look a little better now that you don't see those studs. But now we're gonna pick back up where we left off, and we're gonna be putting this bolt through. Give it a little jiggle so you can line everything up, followed by its washer and nut. And then our final one on the passenger side is going to be this one, and it's going from back to front. Another washer and a nut, and that looks like that. We're going to come over here and do the same thing to the driver's side and finish up the structural pieces of this winch install. So we have those fasteners in. We have those fasteners in. It says it wants us to tighten them to the vehicle frame to 75 footies. Well, we need to do something, and I am going to align all of this as best as I can, because when it comes time to install the winch, I need this to be movable within the bumper. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, we're gonna wanna tighten this, but can you see how this is off right here? Like, I want this bracket to really ride. I want that to ride and keep that formation so that this is, I don't want this up and down, because what happens is the winch is going to want to float between the bumper, and I want to use that trim piece. So it is real important to me that I maintain proper alignment right here so that when that part comes, we're not going to have any issue. These are 19 mil nuts and 19 mil bolts. We're finally getting some rigidity here. We're going to go ahead and tighten both of these the same way we just did these ones, and we're going to bring this together. All right, this looks freaking awesome. The only thing that we have right now that is still loose is that Y bracket, but we're gonna save that for when we put the winch in. Part of the instructions is to still leave this loose. We're gonna get the winch over here on the table, and this is gonna be a two-man operation because I need to lift this into the truck, and I have to fiddle fart fasteners into here. But if I don't have two people, how would one do this? Let's see if we can rig something up. All right, this is kind of gonna work. I think so. I mean, it looks kind of the same level. I just need it to float here so I can get at least one or two of those bolts started. Well, let's get the winch. This is my favorite part. This MFer is heavy. That's why it says it needs two people. But I mean, you can kind of see it's not that big of a deal. If you guys don't have a hoist, I guess you could probably get, I don't know, maybe like a milk crate maybe, or just stack some blocks of wood. But you can see I gotta come down just a little bit more with the truck. I'm not gonna hit the stool. So let's come down here. Everybody help me out here. I can't see. Call it for me. Right there. Let's see. See if my guesstimation was right. A little too much. Let's go back up. Let's see what that did. Oh, okay, that looked pretty darn close, man. All right, let's scoot this whole thing over to the truck. Oh yeah, check that out. I think I'll be able to do this. Yep. I think we'll be able to do this just like that. I mean, I might go down just a smidgy widgy. All right, these are the fasteners that are holding the winch onto the truck. We have some Allen bolts, some big washers, and we got some lock washers. These are 8mm Allens. Okay, we're gonna take the lock washer, put that on first, then we're gonna put the giant washer next, and we're gonna go through this top hole here and try to align it and the winch at the same time. This part is a little different compared to the previous model because we had different little fasteners, little bosses that we had to install into the winch, and these ones, they're already in it. Okay, it's the top passenger one. Let's go on the driver's side. Going as far as I can with my fingers. And then we'll do the bottom ones here. It's completely off the wood. Get that out of the way. Let's put our lock washer and then our big one. And let's jiggle for the bottom one. This is freaking awesome. I've never done this with one person before, so I've always had to have somebody help me. Okay, the winch is on and it is loose. It's not mounted down, but what I'm gonna do is we're gonna tighten that Y bracket, okay? But we are not gonna tighten those bolts that I just put in for the winch. I'm gonna explain to you why, because this amount of clearance right here, see that move? It's going to allow me to use that trim piece that they wanted you to discard. This is gonna be the 5th one I've done and the 4th one that I've reused. I wasn't thinking outside the box the first time. I didn't throw it away, I gave it to the customer, but since then I've found a pretty slick way to use it, and it's been leaving the winch loose, putting the bumper on, and I can get back behind the bumper and cinch down the winch with the Allen driver. So let's go to the instructions and see what the next step is. So we put that piece on, we put the brackets on, we tighten the brackets, we got the winch on, 2-person operation. Ha! Now, those cage nuts, we're gonna go ahead and tighten that down. Let's find the fastener for that, for the socket, and I believe it's gonna have us do that one as well. So let me get those tightened, and then you can see right after that it wants us to tighten the winch. We're gonna leave this loose until we put the bumper on, then we'll go back and tighten it. All right, we're going for 9/16 for these ones and 16 mil for these ones. All right, so we are on the next step. We're gonna be going for that controller box that I showed you earlier, and we're gonna need to mount this bracket right here to the back of this controller box. And I think this is how it's gonna be sitting. Looking at the picture, we have the wires coming out of the top, wires at the top, and then this is like this. All right, so now we have it oriented right. Got the wires coming out and that sitting like that. Now the last 2 fasteners you're gonna use, you have the small washers and these small little lock nuts that I think are 10s or 11s. Let's see. All right, these are 10s. I'm gonna lay this down. And this is gonna allow us to mount this to the frame of the truck, right behind the bumper. Now I wanted to make sure that this gap was the same all the way across. I didn't want this to be cocked or anyway. So, all right, next step, we're gonna go and get this closer to installation on the truck. All right, check this out. In the instructions, it's giving you a diagram on where the wiring is supposed to run. This is the winch in the middle, and these are the cables that are going to be attaching the power feed to it, and then this is going to the passenger side battery. So that module or controller is going right here, and the wire is going to go behind the fan, and the wires are going up to the passenger side battery. So we're to mount that controller box back here. It's going to mount here when the bumper's on. But right now, we need to start running all of these wires that are going to be going to the top of the winch. So what I like to do is set this up here like this, put all the wires over the tow hook and kind of down behind the bracket for the tow hook. So it sits something like this. It's okay to be hanging. We're going to be mounting this fast once the bumper's on. So we have another connector and this loose wire. And what I'm going to do is run these over the studs for the tow hook, and I'm going to go under the radiator. Same with the big power wire. And then it gives us the right amount of slack to go over the frame, but this is where the controller box is actually gonna mount behind the bumper. But while I'm hooking these wires up, what I like to do is put a zippy right in here. And what this is gonna allow me to do is one of two things. It's going to be kind of difficult to hold all this stuff behind here when we're putting the bumper on. So what I'll do, now that this is all mocked up exactly where I want it, we're going to install the fasteners for the bumper, put the bumper on over here, put this fastener through on the bottom, and then I'm going to come up here and cut this zip tie, swing that fastener over because it's got the two nuts on there, put that bolt through, and then I'm not going to be fiddle messing with this controller box. Okay, so we are now going to be putting these wires onto the winch, but before you put them on, the kit comes with these 3 rubber booties that we're going to slide over the cables and then slide them back far enough so once we put the nut down and torque them, we're going to slide this back over and it's going to cover the nut and the electrical connection all within this little boot. All right, once you get that, we are gonna take these nuts off and save them because we're gonna be reusing them. The previous models actually had a paint colored dot on each stud that would represent where each colored wire, that's underneath this boot. So take this off. And we're gonna lay these wires down and tighten them. Okay, you guys saw the label. We have F1 and F1. And we're gonna put each of those to its correct corresponding terminal. Okay, these are 13s. I'm just gonna give them a good snug. These are not lug nuts. All right, now these are all on. The boots are all slipped down and covering the terminals all the way. So now we have this bundle of wiring that is going to be sitting here going over the winch. So we're going to need to kind of zip tie some of these wires in a bundle, and I'll show you what that looks like. So on the winch we have this connection, and off of the controller box we have the female part. So we're going to slip these together. Let me slide this over. Slip this together. All right, so that's together. And then we're going to kind of set that in here, but we're going to give it room so that we can zip tie it to the rest of the bundle. Now we also have a ground cable here that is going to be going up to the passenger side battery. So what I'm going to do is run that right through this hole here in the bracket right here, and I'm going to pull that through down on the other side where the power cable is, and this is going to be our routing for it to go up to the passenger side battery. I'm going to run that negative cable right in the same bundle area as all the other ones. I'm going to pull it down to the back side where the power cable is, and it's going to look something like that. And we're going to try to get all of these wires together, and I'll show you what this will look like. All right, in the kit they give you a bunch of zippies, and we're going to do zippy number 1. We're going to try to go around all these bundles of wires. I'm going to go around where it's accessible, and then I'm going to move it down further and see if we can bundle these together. The previous kits did not have us do this. All right, I like that zippy. I'm gonna put one more here in this bend. Getting it off the brackets. But it's gonna look something like this. Twist that zip tie end out of the way, but you kind of see them down in there. Gonna bundle those together so it looks nice, neat, and clean. And then we'll go ahead and just clip off these ends right here. I like it, I like it. All right, I put one more zip tie on this bundle right here, leaving this loose because this is actually going to attach to the fair lead. So we need a little bit of slack to connect that. But after you get that installed, this is kind of what the final assembly is going to look like before we put the bumper back on. Remember, this is going to be jiggling around because we're going to try to set us up for putting those in. And afterwards, now the next step will be putting all of these cables routing underneath the fan. I'm going to show you where to bundle all these together. All right, those harness connections that were on that plastic piece, I'm going to go ahead and clip these right to the bumper. There's no real spot that you're going to put them back on, just whatever you can do to get them to fasten back into a position. They do swivel on their trim clip. See it move. All right, take care of that. We just don't want that flopping around. I like how that's connected now. Do they say that in the instructions? No. Makes no sense. All right, we have some exquisite running wires. We already talked about these. We ran the power and ground. Let's come back on the back side and you can see the ground and we have the power. The ground and power are coming right through here. Now, some of the things that I had to take into consideration when looking at instructions and reading them, that the people who are writing these have got their 4-year degree in business management and have never sat in a repair facility or have ever touched a vehicle for that matter. CAD and 3D stuff, no, that doesn't count. So I have to think about how I'm going to run these wires, and I kind of took it a step further. I disconnected these two 8 millis and fastened the wire harness all the way to the harness that runs along the bottom of the fan. We're going to put these 8 millis back in because we are completely done right here. We got 8 milli. 8 milli. Hose bolts back in. There's just a little more room trying to get this harness ran. But the only thing that we're going to have hanging here is this block heater cable. But without the bumper, this is how everything is sitting. This is loose. We still have to hook up the fair lead. And then our control box, we're going to cut these zippies when we put it on. But let's come down and look at the wiring under the hood. All right, super clean. Wires are, I can't even find them anymore. Wires are coming up from the bottom, and I have them ran right along underneath, connecting to the vehicle harness right here, and have them ran up to the battery back side. Negative there, and the positive I was able to slip in through right there, so it sits nice and dandy. Now the next thing you really are able to do is go ahead and put the air filter back on. We've pretty much finished the wiring for the winch. The next thing we're going to have to do is do one more modification to the bumper, and then we're going to be putting the rest of our parts on. All right, here we are on the bumper. We are looking underneath the bumper. This is the front, so I'm right in the underside of it. We have 2 slots right here. One here and one right here. This is where the license plate frame comes through the front. We need to take out this bolt and this bolt, and we need to take out this J-clip and this J-clip and put those J-clips now on this plastic piece, because we have 2 new bolts going through this way. Because if you guys can visualize, so I'm the radiator, all right? This is up, this is down, this is the engine. The winch would be coming right through here. The rope would be coming right through here and chafing on this stud. So what they do is they've given you 2 button head bolts that is going to allow anything to slide right over, but this will take this place. right, that is it for the bumper. Our fasteners are good to go. Now we are gonna have to put the bumper back on the truck, and we're gonna have to take care of this, and we're gonna have to route this. We're gonna have to clip this back on. If you had a block heater, we don't want that to be dangling, but it also is not gonna be going in the exact same spot that it was going. We're gonna continue to route it over, but it's gonna kind of just be here like this next to the plastic trim piece. So I am going to put the GoPro up and do a little time lapse of putting this bumper on. It's going to be kind of tricky, but you'll see what we have to do. All right, bumpers on. I hope you guys were noticing I zip tied that controller box to the back of the frame, and I did that so it could hold itself and I wouldn't be fiddle farting around trying to get all the holes lined up. So both holes had zip ties. I cut the top one, put that bolt in. Now I have a pivot point. I cut the bottom zip tie, put that bolt in, and now the bumper is how you see. We don't want to forget our trim clips right here. And right here we can put those on after, but now I'm going to put on the last piece. This is the block heater. We still have to do one connection up here, but we need to put this big metal piece on before we completely tighten the bumper, because the fasteners that hold this on are the fasteners that are going to be going right here. And remember, we got the winch loose still, because I want to be able to reuse that trim piece that they said to discard, which we are not discarding at all. So let me get the GoPro back on and we're going to situate that new metal piece. All right, we're going to be installing Fairlead onto the bracket. This connector's got to go through this hole, and this is going to situate itself just like that. Now the fasteners we have for this is, we have block washer and we have some nuts, but what we're going to do is put 5/8 bolt going through the back side. We're going to put our lock washer and our acorn nut, and this one is, I think, 17, and we'll use the 5/8 to hold the bottom. Put that through this, and now we're going to tighten this to the bracket. Last piece before I put the bracket in, I'm tucking the block heater right on the left side of like the motor switch side. Don't forget your fair lead connection. I'm kind of just gonna let that flop in there, but be very careful. Work this into the gap. Right. Silly connectors behind here. And there. That thing's on. We just need to put the same bolts and rear nut on the back side so that it's going to hang on the bumper. All right, this is the real important part. Everything is loose right now. The winch is loose. This piece is loose and the bumper is loose. You can see how far up we have to go. But this is the real important part because I want to use that trim piece. See that gap that we have here? We need to make this gap happy and we need to make this gap happy. And it's gonna be a process of kind of lifting this up, finding what wiggle room we have. Wiggle that bracket right there. Does that move up and down? All right, see, that is gonna be going and tightening right there. See how I'm holding this right here? I got my hip against my elbow. I want you to push up on that. Let's get this piece and just do a test fit. All right, this is the trim piece they want you to throw away. Stupid. So we're gonna try to fit this thing in here. I got it upside down. No. All right, hold on. Check it out. Everything is on, and because I was telling you about how we left the bumper loose, check out the trim piece. Trim piece is on. You're fully able to move the lever, and the only modifications that I had to do, which you're gonna have to cut the other piece anyway to get around the cruise control module. So right now we have a little gap right here. You see the aerosol, just a little cut, but they wanted you to throw this out. Freaking stupid when I had successfully put this on like this. This is ready to accept the hook. We're gonna finish tightening the bumper, but check out the gap. Everything is gonna be moving up as one. This is now one. We will tighten the bumper down, and then once that's tightened, we'll put those in, and then I will finish tightening the 4 bolts that are actually holding the winch to its mounting bracket. All right, check this out. I'm super excited because of how nice this looks. And like I was explaining to you in the beginning, they want you to throw this piece away. Stupid! We got it to work. Trim clips and everything. Look at that. There's not touching. Look at that gap between that rod and this trim piece. Everything is working like it should. Have the block heater cable dangling right here so the customer can easily grab it and hook it up to his outlet so he can have his block heater working. This is the engaged. This is freewheeling. So right now we can pull the cable out, the rope, but we still have to put the hook on, and we have to modify this side because we still have to put on the cruise control module, which are connectors right here. And now that we're right here, there is the other part of the connector right here. We're gonna have to hook these two together. I don't know if I'll be able to do this with one hand in this tight location, but maybe we will. Oh, check it out. We did do it. So that is its Lone Ranger kind of sitting right behind here. Remember, all those wires had to be zip tied together, but what I do with this one is kind of tuck it right on the other side of this bumper. So it kind of sits right there, and it's not sitting on these studs. There's nothing over there. I like it. Let's get to the modification for the driver's side. And this worn winch for a 23 Super Duty is almost done. Freaking awesome. The cruise control housing module is right here. These fasteners are barely tight. They were just snug. But my main goal is to get that cruise control module sitting as straight and flat facing as possible. In the instructions, they want you to put the threads out, a couple of threads. If you have the 708 23 model year, you're going to be doing all three. If you have the 508, or if you have the model before it, you're only removing and installing one because the Fairleigh bracket had the other two in there. The last step is to air saw. Let me clean that up a little bit. Clean that edge up a little bit here. I'll get the razor blade out. But this is now going to be going right here. New trim angle because that was completely straight. This is now on kind of a little bit of a canter. But check it out. Look how nice this looks. And they wanted you to throw that out. Man, Ford, you guys need to change your instructions because I beg to differ. The last part that we're gonna do is we're gonna put the hook on. We're gonna put this in the truck for the customer. We're gonna hang this pretty little thing, and then its controller. And we're gonna use this 23 F350's winch to winch us forward. All right, here it is. This is it. Came out really nice. I'm super excited for the customer. I was able to reuse that trim piece like we talked about, but it came out looking absolutely flawless. I'm not going to show you guys how it works once you see all the winches work. One you see them, they all are the same. Tell me what you think about this install. If you guys watch all the way through, I'm really excited to see what you guys thought. We have some great things coming to the channel for the Super Duty, specifically the 6.7 Power Stroke. If you have this platform, let me know how you rate it from 1 to 10. 10 is my favorite, and I love my 2020, and I hope you do too. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, sub, share, and I will catch all of you guys next time behind another Super Duty. See ya! And here's all the final wiring hookups. Man, this came out looking phenomenal. Check it out. I love it. What the heck is... No me gusta. What in Sam hell just happened? Oh, for crying out loud. Silly me. Might want to make sure that none of your tags